Stop. Don't touch your wallet yet. Do you know why a lot of wealthy people rinse their hands with salt before they handle money? It's not superstition, and it's not magic. It's a symbolic ritual that almost nobody does the right way, which is exactly why your bank will never talk about it. If you wake up with a weight on your chest, already thinking about bills, debt, groceries, that's not weakness. That's your body on alert. And alert plus money in your hand turns into escape. I've studied household habits and symbolism for years, and there's a pattern. When you change your state, you change your decision. Picture this. Early morning, silence. Light coming through the window. A bowl, water, salt, and your hands. Simple. And simple, when repeated, becomes a switch. In the middle of the video, I'll give you the complete step-by-step with salt plus water plus wallet. But pay attention, there's a mistake that cancels everything out in seconds, and it's the most common mistake when we're in a rush. A lot of people notice a shift in mindset and even new opportunities within 24 to 48 hours, not because money fell from the sky, but because you stop making decisions from fear. And if this video showed up for you today, maybe it's time to close an escape no one else can see. Comment, impulse or anxiety, which one gets you more? And also write, today I do it right. Subscribe. This is a series, one step per video, no confusion. Now, before I give you the full step-by-step, I need to make you a clear promise and also an agreement. Here's the promise. What you're about to learn isn't a hack. And it's not fantasy. It's a simple symbolic ritual done with an inexpensive object designed for one very specific purpose, closing escape routes. And when I say escape, I'm not just talking about money slipping away. I'm talking about the invisible escapes that start inside you, rushing, anxiety, impulse spending, fear, guilt, and that constant feeling that you're never quite secure. Because when you make decisions with your heart racing, you overspend, you settle, you regret, you sabotage, and then you blame it on bad luck or the economy. Here's the agreement. If you do this the right way, you gain clarity and control. If you do it the wrong way, you'll just repeat the same cycle. And that's why I'm going to guide you in a very simple order. Today you're going to see 3 things in this sequence. First, the number one mistake that cancels everything out in seconds, and almost everyone makes it simply because they're exhausted and rushing through life. Second, the complete ritual with salt, water, and your wallet. I'll give you the steps in the middle of the video with a clear beginning, middle, and end. No confusion. And third, what you should observe in the next 24 to 48 hours, not as a miracle, but as signs of internal change that shift how you act. And that changes what you attract and what you allow into your life. And let me tell you something respectfully. If this video showed up on your feed today, it might be the nudge you needed to stop living on autopilot. You don't have to keep pushing through life with a burned-out mind. Quick request, subscribe to the channel, because this isn't a standalone video, it's a sequence, one step at a time until you genuinely feel at peace with money, your home, and your decisions. And so, I can get to know you better. Answer in the comments right now with just one word, impulse or anxiety. Which one is your biggest escape? Great. So let's get to the first point. The mistake almost nobody notices, and the one that ruins everything before it even begins. The number one mistake is starting the way almost everyone starts. You wake up startled by your alarm, immediately grab your phone, think about your credit card bill, your rent or mortgage, your grocery run at Costco or Target, someone texting asking for something, and then you touch your wallet, your cash, or your debit card, while your body is still in a state of alert. That's where the escape begins. And a body on high alert does not make good decisions. When you touch money feeling anxious, rushed, or angry, you're not just touching it. You're placing your financial life in the hands of fear, and fear always creates an escape route. An escape how? You buy to feel relief. You accept less than you deserve just to keep the peace. You put off important decisions. You say yes when you wanted to say no. And then, at the end of the month, you look at your bank app and say, where did it all go? It didn't disappear. It leaked through decisions made on autopilot. And I'm going to give you a micro step right now that already shifts this, even before the full ritual. Pay attention, because this takes less than a minute. Before you touch your wallet today, do this. First, pause your body. That's it. Pause. Plant your feet on the ground, straighten your posture, and take 3 slower breaths, like you're powering down the rush. Now take a small pinch of salt, just a pinch, and rub it between your hands for a few seconds. Not to hurt yourself, just to feel it. Salt brings you back to the present. It wakes up your attention. And while you feel the salt, say a short phrase, simple but firm. Today I do it right. I decide with peace. I close the leaks. That's it. It sounds small, but this is exactly where most people mess up. They try to skip the state and jump straight to the result. And here's something important. If you do the full ritual, but you do it in a rush, arguing, complaining, or carrying a heavy heart, you cancel the very thing that was meant to organize you. That's why I said at the beginning, there's a mistake that ruins everything in seconds. This is the mistake. In a moment, in the middle of the video, I'll give you the complete step-by-step with salt, water, and your wallet. In the right order, with the detail almost nobody pays attention to. But if you just do this micro step today, you'll notice an immediate difference. More presence, less impulse. Now answer this honestly in your own mind. What's your most common escape? Is it rushing or is it anxiety? If this hit home, comment, I close the leaks. Now let me take you to the next point, where most people recognize themselves and finally understand why money seems to slip away even when they're trying their best. I want to speak to you directly for a moment, because if you've stayed this far, you're not here out of idle curiosity. You're here because something inside you is tired. Some people think money problems are just about budgeting or spreadsheets. But if you live this, you know, it's not just in your wallet. It's in your body. It's waking up already exhausted, even after a full night's sleep. It's the thought that hits before your first cup of coffee. What's due first? It's feeling like you're constantly putting out fires, never building stability. And there's a kind of pain almost nobody talks about, especially for the person carrying the household, the family load, the responsibility. It's the pain of doing everything right and still feeling like it's never enough. You work. You take care of everyone. You worry. You try to save, maybe clipping coupons, skipping extras, watching every dollar, but somehow the money still seems to drain through a place you can't see. And then comes the shame. You don't talk about it with just anyone. You avoid the subject. You smile on the outside, but inside you're afraid someone will realize you're stretched thin. Sometimes you're not technically broke, but you are out of peace, because the fear of not having enough becomes a lifestyle. And that's where one of the biggest escapes lives, the escape from peace. You start making decisions from fear, and when you decide from fear, you enter a dangerous cycle. You spend to soothe yourself. You avoid checking your bank statement because you don't want the stress. You postpone conversations that need to happen. You accept bad terms because at least it's something. You blame yourself. And guilt turns into more anxiety. And anxiety turns into more leaking. And the worst part, everyone has advice. One person says you just need to work harder. Another says you should invest in this or buy into that. Someone else tells you to just think positive. And there's always that one person who makes you feel small, like it's simple, and you're the problem for not figuring it out. But let me tell you something. If it were only about effort, you would have solved it by now. What a lot of people don't understand is that money is also about emotional state, about presence, about clarity, about what you tolerate and what you allow. When you're anxious, every decision becomes more expensive because you pay with money and you pay with energy. You pay for the impulse. You pay for the yes you said just to avoid conflict. You pay for the I'll deal with it later. And by the end of the month, you can't even explain where it went. That's why this gesture with salt feels almost too simple, and that's exactly why it works. It's a quiet signal to your body. It's like saying, without yelling, without fighting, without drama, I don't make decisions from fear. I don't start my day in a rush. I close the leak before I open my wallet. And pay attention. The goal here isn't to become a completely different person overnight. The goal is to reclaim something that may have gotten lost over time, your sense of command. In a moment, I'm going to tell you a short, very real story about someone who seemed doomed to always live stretched thin. Not because she didn't work hard, but because she was always operating in urgency mode. And when you hear it, you'll recognize the pattern. But first, I want you to do an honest mental check right now. When you reach for your wallet, do you feel more rush or more fear? Hold on to that answer, because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how that pattern begins and how we start breaking it from the inside out. No miracles required, just method. Let me tell you a story that sounds simple, but once you see the pattern, you start noticing where money leaks without making a sound. Let's call this woman Helen. Helen was 56 years old, the kind of person everyone describes as strong. She worked, she took care of people, she handled things, she carried the load. Even when she was exhausted, she kept going. But there was a scene that repeated almost every day. She would wake up and, before even getting out of bed, feel that tightness in her chest. Not pain, just pressure from worry. Her first thought wasn't about dreams or plans. It was, what has to be paid first? Her mind didn't go to goals. It went straight to the bills, the mortgage, the electric bill, the credit card. Then came that quiet rush, the kind that doesn't make noise, but takes over your body. She'd get up, do the basics, and her phone was already in her hand. Checking texts, scrolling headlines, reading the news, comparing prices on Amazon or Walmart, remembering what was missing. Then came the moment she picked up her wallet. And pay attention, this detail matters. The wallet wasn't just a wallet. For her, it was almost a symbol of weight. It was like her body already knew. Here comes the hard part. And every time she touched her wallet in that state, rushed and afraid, something happened. She became more impulsive. Not big, dramatic spending. It was the small, sneaky impulse, the just this once, the just to take the edge off, the I deserve this, I've been through enough, the I'll make up for it later. And before she realized it, the month had another hole in it. But the hole wasn't there because she was irresponsible. It was there because she was living in urgency mode, and urgency makes us act like we're running from something. One day, Helen described a moment to me that was painful to hear. She was at the grocery store. Just basic items: milk, eggs, bread, a few necessities. When she got to the checkout, that familiar knot hit her stomach, and she thought, I hope the card goes through. It went through. But when she walked out, she didn't feel relief. She felt angry at herself, because she realized she was living in fear, and living in fear isn't living, it's surviving. She went home and just stood there staring at the kitchen table, like she was asking herself, where did I lose myself? And this is where the shift happened. She didn't want that cycle anymore. She didn't want to touch money like it was a wound. So she started doing one small gesture before reaching for her wallet. A gesture that looked almost silly. but in practice it changed her day from the inside out. She set aside a small bowl, put some water in it, took a pinch of salt, nothing expensive, nothing complicated, nothing mystical, and before picking up her wallet, she paused. 3 breaths, salt in her hands, just enough to feel it. And she would say quietly, like giving an order to her own body, "Today I do it right. I decide with peace. I close the leaks." On the first day, she didn't feel a miracle. She felt something rarer, presence, and presence changes decisions. On the second day, she noticed something she had never noticed before. She was eating rush with her breakfast, scrolling headlines, checking balances, mentally juggling bills before her coffee even kicked in. And when you consume rush, you pay with impulse. On the third day, she did something that used to feel impossible. She said no. No to a purchase meant to please someone else. No to a buy that was really just anxiety in disguise. And when she said no, she felt guilt. But then she felt relief. And this is what I want you to understand. When you close a leak, it feels uncomfortable at first, because that leak used to be your old way of coping with pain. Now notice this. What changed in her life wasn't just her money. It was her posture. Instead of opening her wallet like she was opening a verdict, she started opening it like she was opening a choice. And within 24 to 48 hours, something happened that seems small, but isn't. She became more aware. She started noticing opportunities that used to pass her by because her mind was too busy worrying. She called to renegotiate a bill she'd been avoiding for months, her internet plan, her insurance premium. She cut a small subscription that had been quietly draining her account. She cleaned out her wallet. Old receipts, expired cards, reminders of stress she didn't need to carry anymore. And she told me something I've never forgotten. I didn't get rich, but I became more in charge of myself. And when someone becomes in charge of themselves again, money stops slipping away so easily, because most leaks aren't magical, they're emotional. That's why the full ritual I'm going to teach you in the middle of this video is powerful. It's not just about salt and water, it's about breaking urgency mode. Now I want you to think about Helen, and think about yourself. When you touch your wallet, do you touch it with peace? Or do you touch it like you're racing against something? From here, I'm going to explain, in a simple, straightforward way, why salt works as an anchor, why water enters as a symbol of flow, and why the wallet is the central point. Because when you understand the why, you do it with conviction, and you don't quit on day 2. Let me explain this clearly. No fluff, why this gesture works, and why it feels too simple for a lot of people to take seriously. What most people call a ritual is really just this, a signal to your body and your mind that from that moment on you're going to act differently, because the problem isn't that you don't know how to do the math. The problem is that when fear steps in, the numbers turn into emotion, and rushed emotion makes bad decisions. When you wake up in urgency mode, your brain doesn't think long-term. It thinks about surviving the day. And in survival mode, you do 3 things that create leaks. You look for quick relief, you avoid discomfort, and you postpone what actually needs to be handled. That's why so many people get stuck in the same loop. Work, pay bills, rush, feel guilty, promise to change, repeat. So the first role of the salt here is very direct. It pulls you into the present moment. Salt has texture. It has sensation. It has weight. When you rub salt between your hands, you pull your mind out of the whirlwind, the notifications, the due dates, the mental to-do list, and bring your attention to now. It's like saying, I'm here, and attention is power. The second role is symbolic. Salt preserves. Salt protects. Salt sets boundaries. Salt says, this stays. It's a small message you send to your own nervous system. What's mine doesn't leak. Water enters as another strong symbol. Flow. And pay attention, flow is not chaos. Flow is order in motion. Water reminds you that money should move the right way, come in, be divided, be protected, be directed. And the wallet is the key, because it's where you make micro-decisions all day long. It's the contact point between you and your money. And if every time you touch your wallet, or your debit card, or tap your phone to pay, you do it with rush, guilt, or fear, you're training your brain to associate money with tension. Then money becomes a problem before it even exists. That's why I say, even the bank doesn't mention this. Not because there's some hidden secret, but because no one teaches you the most important part: behavior. The bank gives you products. The bank gives you interest rates. The bank gives you numbers. But who teaches you how to close emotional leaks before you open your wallet? Almost no one. And I want to make something very clear. This is educational and symbolic. It's not for you to depend on like a miracle. It's a method for presence, order, and intention, because that changes your posture, and posture changes direction. Now here's the point I promised you. The full ritual has a simple order, and there's one detail almost nobody pays attention to. In a moment, in the middle of the video, I'll give you the steps. But first, I need to make sure you start the right way, with the right elements, without overcomplicating it. Because if you improvise, you weaken it. If you skip steps, you fool yourself. And if you do it just to do it, it becomes another attempt you abandon. So now I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to set aside. And I'll show you how to prepare it in a way so simple you can repeat it for 7 days straight without stress. If this path makes sense to you and you want to follow the sequence, subscribe, because the next video continues exactly from here. Let's talk about the elements. Now let's make this practical, simple, and doable. Because if it feels complicated, you won't repeat it. And if you don't repeat it, you won't create change. So I'm going to ask you for something small. Treat this as a light commitment. One gesture a day. A gesture you can realistically sustain. You'll need 4 things. Just 4. First, salt. It can be coarse sea salt or regular table salt. This isn't about luxury. It's about the symbol and the sensation. If you have sea salt, great. If not, use what's already in your kitchen cabinet. Second, water. Filtered water, tap water you trust. Nothing fancy. You're not drinking it. You're not doing anything strange with it. It's simply part of the gesture. Third, a small bowl. Any clean bowl that you can use just for this during these days. If you're able to dedicate one specifically for this ritual, even better, because it creates a mental marker. Every time you see that bowl on the counter, you remember your commitment to do it right. Fourth, your wallet. And here's something important. It's not just any wallet. It's the one you actually use. The one that holds what represents your financial life. If you barely use cash, that's okay. Put at least 1 bill inside, or 1 card, just to have the symbol there. Your mind needs contact with something tangible, something real. Now I'm going to guide you through a very quick preparation step, because this already prevents the second most common mistake, starting the ritual in the middle of chaos. Before you begin, do 2 things. First, choose a moment when you won't be interrupted for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be realistic. Second, place your wallet somewhere visible. Then do a small symbolic cleanup. Remove old receipts, expired coupons, loyalty cards you never use, anything that triggers anxiety. This isn't about making it look Pinterest perfect. It's about removing weight, removing excess. Because a lot of people say they want prosperity, but they carry emotional clutter inside their wallet. And that becomes a constant reminder of pressure. Now here's a detail that seems small, but changes everything. Your intention has to be specific. Not, I want more money. That's vague. Something like, I want peace when I pay my bills. I want clarity to get out of debt. I want stability. You don't have to sound poetic. You have to sound honest. If you can, think of a simple phrase that fits you, short, firm, possible, like, I close the leaks. I decide with peace. I organize and move forward. In a moment, I'll give you the full sequence with salt, water, and wallet, in the right order. And there's one specific step, the wallet step, where almost everyone gets it wrong without realizing. So prepare these 4 elements in your mind now, and if you've already set everything aside, comment just one word: ready. Now, let's move into the full ritual. This is the moment I promised you. I'm going to give you the complete ritual with salt, water, and wallet, in the right order. Simple, repeatable. And I'm going to ask you for one thing. While you listen, don't try to upgrade the method. Don't overcomplicate it. Follow it exactly as I explain, because the strength of this practice is in the sequence. And remember, this is symbolic and educational. It's not a miracle tool. It's a training in order, presence, and intention, closing emotional leaks before you touch money. Let's begin. Step 1. Prepare the beginning. 30 seconds. Before touching your wallet, pause. Place both feet on the floor. Sit or stand upright. Take 3 slower breaths. Now say a short, firm phrase. Not loudly, just like giving instructions to your own system. Today, I do it right. I decide with peace. I close the leaks. Step 2. Salt in the bowl, the symbol of this stays. Take the bowl. Place a small amount of salt in it, not much, a teaspoon or a generous pinch. Enough that you can look at it and clearly see there is salt here. As you add the salt, think of one specific intention. Not, I want money. Better something like, I want stability. I want peace when I pay my bills. I want clarity to get out of debt. I want security in my home. Choose one, just one. Step 3. Water over the salt, the symbol of ordered flow. Now pour a little water into the bowl. Just enough to wet the salt and create salt water. As the water touches the salt, say, May what enters my life enter with order. May what is mine remain. May I stop losing energy to fear. Notice how simple the phrases are. That's intentional, because your brain responds to what is clear. Step 4. The detail almost nobody does, and this is where the shift happens. Here's the detail. Most people rush through everything and go straight to the wallet, and that's where they cancel the effect. You're going to do the opposite. Create presence in your hands before touching money. Place both hands in the salt water. Let them rest there for a few seconds. You don't need to count. Just stay long enough to actually feel the water and the grain of the salt. While your hands are there, imagine a simple scene. You paying your bills calmly. You saying no to impulse. You making decisions without fear. Don't picture a mansion or winning the lottery. Picture peace. Peace is what closes leaks. Step 5. 7 movements to mark in your body that a new cycle has started. Now, with your fingertips, make 7 slow circular movements in the water, gently stirring. 7 isn't a magic number. It simply helps your mind recognize there's a beginning, middle, and end. That creates a sense of control. As you do this, repeat silently, order, calm, clarity, just those 3 words. Step 6. The wallet between your hands, the central moment. Now comes the step that gives meaning to everything, the wallet. Don't grab it carelessly. Pick it up with your hands, still slightly damp from the salt water. This matters because your brain records touch. Touch becomes an anchor. Hold the wallet firmly between both hands, like you're holding a commitment, and say slowly, this wallet is not a burden. This wallet represents order. I do not open leaks. I receive with peace, and I use with wisdom. Notice something? We're not asking for a miracle. we're declaring posture, and posture changes direction. Step 7. Light and silence. 10 minutes, if possible. If you can, place your wallet somewhere with morning light, near a window, anywhere natural light reaches. Let it sit there for a few minutes. Why? Because it marks a beginning. It's like saying, my day starts with clarity, not urgency. While the wallet rests there, don't scroll your phone. Don't rush into emails, headlines, or notifications. Just stay quiet for a moment, and if worry shows up, don't fight it. Just say, I see you, but today I decide with peace. Step 8. Close with simple gratitude, no theatrics. Now discard the salt water respectfully. You can pour it down the sink, into a drain, or outside if you prefer. And say one short sentence. Thank you for clarity. Thank you for order. I close the leaks. That's it. That's the ritual. Now I want you to understand the most important point. The power of this isn't in doing it once, it's in repeating it. That's why at the end, I'm going to give you a simple 7-day routine, short and sustainable, so you can anchor this change. But before that, let me tell you what to watch for in the next few hours and the next few days. Because subtle signs show up first. And there are 3 warnings you need to hear so you don't sabotage the process. If you're willing to do this for 7 days, comment now, 7 days. Now let's talk about the signs and the warnings, the part that separates the people who try once and quit from the people who actually change their pattern. Here's what you should observe after doing this ritual. And pay attention, I'm not promising money falling from the sky. What happens first is more subtle, and because it's subtle, many people overlook it and miss the transformation. The first signs usually look like this. Sign 1. Lightness and mental quiet. You may feel a kind of lightness that isn't excitement. It's just less noise. Like your chest softens a little. For someone who lives in constant alert mode, that alone is huge. Sign 2. More clarity, less impulse. You start noticing the impulse before obeying it. You pause. You think twice. You choose instead of react. And that alone closes leaks without drama. Sign 3. Small opportunities you used to miss. It's not a miracle. It's focus. When you step out of urgency mode, you start seeing things that were already there. A phone call you've been putting off. A subscription quietly draining your account. A conversation you've been avoiding. A chance to renegotiate a bill. A simple idea that improves your month. Many people notice this within the first 24 to 48 hours, not as instant wealth, but as a shift in posture, and posture changes direction. Sign 4. Spontaneous organization. You suddenly feel the urge to organize your wallet, your purse, your kitchen drawer, your entryway. Because when the mind settles, the environment asks for order, and order is protection. Now let me give you 3 warnings. These 3 warnings separate those who try once and quit from those who truly change their pattern. Warning 1. Don't do it in anger, resentment, or desperation. If you're extremely irritated, anxious, or overwhelmed, it's not that it will go wrong. It's that you'll use the ritual as another escape instead of presence. So on heavy days, start with the micro step first. Breathe, ground your body, slow down. Then do it. Simple rule. A rushed ritual becomes just another chore. Warning 2. Don't argue with skeptics. You don't need to convince anyone. If you do this and then run to tell someone who mocks it, you'll absorb their doubt and tension reopens leaks. Keep it to yourself for a few days. Observe quietly. When you have internal results, you don't need external approval. Warning 3. Don't treat this as one and done. The real power here is repetition. What changes your life isn't one gesture. It's a pattern. That's why I'm about to give you a 7-day routine. 7 days is enough time for you to feel the shift in your body and in the way you make decisions. Now I'm going to ask you for something simple, because this also helps you stay committed. After you do it, come back and comment which sign showed up first: lightness, clarity, or order. That creates accountability and helps other women know what to watch for. And if you know a woman who is emotionally stretched thin, the one who carries everything on her shoulders, send this video to her. Sometimes she doesn't need more advice. She needs peace to make better decisions. Now let's move into the 7-day routine. Practical, simple, and realistic, so you don't quit halfway through. I'm going to give you a 7-day structure that's easy to follow and won't drain you. And think of it this way: this isn't a marathon. It's a fine-tuning. It's you closing small leaks one day at a time. If you do this for 7 days, you'll notice your body starts responding differently to money, and that changes decisions. Let's begin. Day 1. Clean wallet, lighter mind. Today, open your wallet and remove anything heavy: old receipts, outdated coupons, cards that trigger anxiety. Keep only what's necessary. When you close it, say, "I close the leaks." Day 2. Salt before the wallet. Today, repeat the salt gesture calmly. Even if it's the short version: salt in your hands, slow breath, firm phrase. The goal is to train presence before decision. Day 3. The forbidden phrase and the right one. Today, notice a phrase that opens a leak. For example, "I'll never get out of this." "Money never stays with me." "I'm just bad with money." Then replace it with something short and true. "I'm learning to decide better." "I close small leaks every day." You don't need to lie to yourself. You need to guide yourself. Day 4. One small cut that bleeds daily. Today, choose one small expense that quietly drains you. Impulse takeout, repeated convenience buys at Target, a forgotten subscription, an unnecessary payment plan. Cut just one, only one. That builds a sense of control. Day 5. Order at your front door, simple and symbolic. Today, organize the space where you enter and leave your home: the entry table, the hook where you drop your keys, the corner where your bag lands. Remove excess. Leave it clear, because clutter pulls urgency, and urgency opens leaks. Day 6. The conversation or decision you've been avoiding today. Do one thing you've been postponing. Call to renegotiate a bill. Look at your bank statement without panic. Write down your due dates. Organize what's coming up. No drama, just do it. And when you finish, say, "I decide," with peace. Day 7. Repeat and seal. Today, repeat the full ritual with salt, water, and wallet. Then write on a small piece of paper, "I close the leaks." Keep it in your wallet for 7 days. It's not a lucky charm. It's a reminder of posture. Now, something important. If you complete this routine, come back and comment which day was hardest for you. Day 3, Day 4, or Day 6. That helps you understand yourself, and it helps others too. If you've stayed with me this far, subscribe. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you something that seems small but changes everything. The one phrase that quietly sabotages a household's financial life, and what to say instead. Now let's close with a quick summary and one final commitment. Be clear about this. The salt isn't the miracle. The salt is the trigger. What changes your financial life is learning to close leaks before you decide. If you follow the ritual and the 7-day routine, the first result won't be money falling from the sky. It will be something more powerful: peace in your mind, clarity in your choices, and less impulse. And when that shifts, everything else starts to follow. Now, I want you to make one simple commitment. Choose a morning, tomorrow, if you can, and do it. Just one day. Then observe. Comment below, 7 days if you're committing to the full routine. And also write, "I close the leaks." Subscribe to the channel because this is a series. In the next video, I'll show you the phrase that opens the biggest leak inside a home without anyone noticing and what to replace it with. I'll see you in the next one.